Well, as far as creative process goes, really there are several things that drive that, and they're more about an attitude or an approach, and there's certainly a great drive that comes from a will to make objects which we haven't experienced before. And to have a sense of myself, my individuality within that whole kind of thing, from the approach to material, let alone the idea that you're exploring with that. Possibly one of the most difficult things that we have to deal with is not to have an idea about what we're doing beforehand, and to be comfortable with that, and to have phases when we're working where we're just exploring, and we're really trying to keep the mind not looking for the answer. We trip ourselves up in pursuit of the answer when actually it's the question we should be pursuing. For a phase very early on when I was first exploring the material, the challenge was really to find out where its edge was, what it could do before it started to break down, and to then start to say, well, what degrees of breakdown are there, and are any of those useful, interesting? Do they inform an approach apart from just helping me understand the material? Where's the potential in some of these things? One of the reasons for the choices of working with acrylic was that I wanted to work in colour, but that I didn't want that colour to be a surface. I very much wanted to work in a material which was three-dimensionally coloured. You've got a group of yellows, you've got a group of reds, you've got a group of greens. Of course, you've got the whole spectrum of colour. But still, on their own, it's like a painter using paint straight out of the tube. It's just not something that would be done. It's too brash. There's a lack of sensitivity to the colour. So they were some of the things that drove this, but I almost always laminate colours together so that where light passes through the material, light actually blends those colours. So that you're not looking at a single colour anymore, you're looking at something which has a variance to it. It's an industrial material, and I'm not really using it in an industrial sense, so I'm not really sure if this is something that I'm consciously kicking against, but I suppose there is a degree of transformation which happens to this material through the process. The beginning of making a work, I'll laminate sheets together and they'll look really quite ugly and gluey and it'll be heavy. And then there'll be a laborious, long-lived burring away, removing of material to gain control of those colours, to gain those sensibilities that I'm looking for. And I'm looking to make things which have a sense of exquisiteness to them in some way. And I'm trying to do that through leaving these plastic objects rather than with the mark of the machine and production, but to leave them with the mark of the hand. To be honest, I was quite flattered when a few years ago a gallery in Vienna was broken into and several of my pieces were stolen. I was thinking, oh, fantastic, what a compliment that these kind of works in plastic were stolen from a jewellery gallery. And I suppose I'm a bit schizophrenic on this, because in one sense many of the images that I take are the work being worn. But I think in a gallery situation within the field of jewellery isn't only about the body. These are objects in their own right, in my view, and there's so much to be explored within a gallery situation before you even think about the body. I've always wanted to do exhibitions where the pieces aren't in cases, they're worn. Putting the work in a context for the viewer, and I don't mean an ideological context here, I mean a context which is other than on a shelf behind a piece of glass alongside other pieces which we are conditioned to think we are considering, we are viewing. There's a whole different pace of things that can happen when you're seeing people wear things. They can suddenly tell you something about it that, may cause you to think differently about it or cause you to question something about it. There's something lovely about that. I was desperately fortunate in the sense that I grew up next to a river, and the whole wet look finish on the work I can see a very direct link back to kind of being a child and being old enough to kind of paddle around in the river, and so the river is certainly important. Outdoor spaces, growing things of any kind of a great inspiration. Always ambling around, just kind of looking. There's some stones that I go and sit just down by the river, just to kind of get myself away from the noise that machines make, which is kind of over and above the noise. It grates, it kind of gets in. I just need to get rid of that, get rid of all that vibration and dust, and just go and kind of calm down and kind of think about some other kind of things, and I find it alters my head, and I'll use that throughout the day.